Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. We got the show starting in just a second. Putting on some chapstick. Sending out the text message. Uh-oh. Where did my text message go? Oh, no. Oh, there it is. All right. Looks like the text message has been making it to more people, and that's nice. What do we got in here? Salta Paul, EQ 26, Chilpine, Vlog This. All sorts of folks around here. Thanks for being here, everybody. We got a great show today. We will be efficient. There's probably going to be a toddler running around at the same time, which I know you guys don't mind too much, so get ready for that. Can kind of hear the toddler already screaming in the background. As of now, producership is pretty light and no execs yet. So if anybody out there is just itching for an opportunity to keep their favorite podcast alive, now would be a wonderful time, a good opportunity to experience the joys of producing the show. You know how to do it. canarycryradio.com/support, or head on over to canarycry.party. And I'm still on the laptop today. Guy, this is what happens when you have a guy, when you have a buddy who's doing something for free for you. It takes a couple extra days. It's okay. We understand. We appreciate his hard work. Okay, I think we're about to get started. Are we ready, Guns? Okay, we are ready, folks. So stay hydrated. Let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is January 4th, 2023, and we are live to tape on episode 577. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California, here to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. I have my 2-year-old in the room, so that should be fun. There he is. Ooh. And today's emergent phenomenon, I hope there is no genetic spying on my son here, because that's the theme here. Genetic spying seems to be a topic that just kept coming up over and over and putting today's episode together. So, especially for the youngins, youngins. Yeah.
Fun little story before we get started. I didn't know exactly where to pop this in, but I got our Chat GPT membership going, our OpenAI account. I was playing around with the most advanced AI chatbot of 2022. That's ChatGPT, and I asked the AI. I said, write a paragraph about FLIPPY, the robotic arm that is taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Do you want to hear what the AI chatbot had to say about FLIPPY?
Sure, of course.
Said, FLIPPY is a robotic arm that has been taking jobs from humans, and its ability to automate tasks has the potential to take away more and more jobs from people. Its accuracy and speed can't be matched by a human, and its presence in the workplace has caused some to worry about the future of human jobs. On top of that, some are concerned about the potential for FLIPPY to be used to manipulate or control children and young adults, taking away their autonomy.
Whoa.
Finally, many worry FLIPPY could be used to flirt or otherwise engage with their spouses, potentially creating uncomfortable situations.
Wow, you've repeated the Flippy line so many times, it's probably picked up multiple layers on that algo, those words, and so it just worked it into the...
Firmly. Yes.
You have contributed to the mind of Chat
to the
GBT.
algorithm.
Yes.
So there you go. All right, Gons. Well, we got a great show today. So why don't I give you a quick canned disclaimer and a rundown?
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up,
YouTube. That's right, and just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Straight from the horse's mouth, folks. Here is what we are going to be exploring today.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
First, we've got an update on sewer surveillance. That's right. You may be hearing all about sewer surveillance nowadays. It's become popular to talk about, but I think out of all uncovering of sadistic plans against humanity, sewer surveillance is our one claim to fame. Well, we've got an update we think you'll enjoy then. Flippy is back at it again, and to battle against the messaging from last episode where humans were taking robots' jobs, we've got Flippy striking back. We'll be seeing the carnage as it unfolds. Then we'll have a brief moment talking about politics, catching up on some of the current events thereof and what the World Economic Forum has to say about it. We then will be checking in with DNA surveillance, a little update on some of the current events that, maybe your 23andMe participation might have on the news cycle here. Then second half of the show, we're getting into just a dash of COVID and the vaccine as far as how the Japanese medical professionals are beginning to explore the possibilities. And then China laying claim to the moon. Watch out, everybody. And then at the end of the show, we've got a rundown on Antarctic tourism and what that means for you and your children. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
All right, we're kicking it off with some being watched.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
In the sewer.
We'll control them with toileting.
Now, if this is your first episode of Canary Cry News Talk, welcome. And why do we have a jingle about sewer surveillance? It's because we've been on it. And like Basil said in the rundown, I think we may have been one of the first people to point out the trend.
While others were afraid to touch the topic, didn't want the big toilet to the retribution, didn't want big toilet to flush them down. We weren't afraid. We were the only brave souls talking about it.
Well, connected with the teepee issue early on in the lockdown, of course. So this is CBC, the Canadian outlet. And the headline here, wastewater from some flights arriving at Vancouver airport to be tested for COVID-19.
Dun, dun, dun.
Taking it straight out of the playbook there. As Canada implements new COVID-19 rules for travelers arriving from the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong, and Macau, Vancouver International Airport said it will be part of a pilot project to test wastewater from select aircraft. Starting Thursday, the federal government will require air travelers arriving from China, Hong Kong, or Macau to provide evidence of a negative COVID-19 test taken before their departure. The temporary health measures in place for 30 days, I know, it's ridiculous, are a reaction to a surge in the virus in China and the limited epidemiological and other data available, the Public Health Agency of Canada announced Saturday. BC Health Minister Adrian Dix said he supports Ottawa's decision.
Of course he does. Of course he does. That's the interesting thing about this. Now, just to review in case you missed it, they will be testing the sewer water that comes in. I don't know if it's technically sewer water. What is it? Black water, brown water? Are we even allowed to use those terms anymore? Gray water.
Gray water.
From planes coming in, particularly from China, which
water.
That's probably like a 16-hour flight, maybe. Yeah, I think so. The Pacific Ocean's a big ocean.
It's a good sample size, yeah.
If you're trying to sneak some COVID over into Canada there, you're going to have to hold it for 16 hours, which is not impossible. I wonder if you'll have some people using their water bottles or barf bags instead of the facilities there. On one hand, it is no surprise that Canada is sort of the first in the world to start reissuing the sort of COVID era shenanigans. That comes as no surprise. Yeah. And it comes as no surprise that, now look, this on its face seems like a bit of a benign move. Nobody's losing any freedoms or having their bank accounts frozen from this.
Are we going to start the sewage freedom movement, you and I? Keep our sewage unsurveilled.
We got to find,
our waste is part of us. It demands privacy.
We got to find some constitutional language.
I think we could.
Fighting this.
That'll be our claim to fame.
Yeah.
Is our bill that passed about not allowing sewer surveillance based on the fact that it violates human privacy.
I mean, it is what if that is not a privacy issue, I don't know what is.
I just don't want to. Of course, that's the thing that we are. We're going to be remembered for if we even move in that direction.
But it's no surprise that this is being celebrated by certain, politicians in Canada, I believe is how it's pronounced.
The article continues here. Testing can help track COVID-19 mutations. Dr. Isaac Bogok, an infectious disease specialist with the University Health Network in Toronto, said wastewater sampling can be useful in tracking emerging mutations in the COVID-19 virus and emerging variants of concern. Quote, it's really important to have a good understanding of which variants are circulating, which ones are in Canada, and that just gives us some very valuable information that is often actionable, he said. Bogach noted that data transparency is critical. Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems to be a trend. Quote, it's extremely important to share this data with the world. And when we have open platforms for sharing genomic sequencing, another theme of this episode, we're in a much better place and we just have a much more well-informed global population, he said, adding such monitoring is a necessary next step as COVID-19 ebbs and flows. Quote, I don't think there's many silver bullets with COVID-19. Oh, I thought we had a silver bullet in the,
okay. I think it may have literally been called a silver bullet.
I think so, yeah.
From somebody.
Just erase that part of history. And this certainly isn't one of them. Oh, okay. He said, quote, it's just gradually moving forward in a smart direction, getting better data that help drive smart policy. He's using the word smart a lot. Like he wants smart contracts to govern everything.
It makes me wonder if the word is starting to develop a different definition. Part of what's happened over the past few years, as we've documented on this show, is the intentional and official redefining of certain words.
Yeah.
Some of them being pretty benign, not benign, but boring, boring redefinitions. However, we do see that being used in sort of nefarious ways. But I could see how the sort of redefining of the word smart be happening right under our noses.
Well, and it's obvious that it's already out there in the culture. Anything, smart homes, smart whatever, smartphones, obviously. And then when it comes to legislation and surveillance, the word will have the technological bent that it has with our cultural milieu. Yes. I did have this set ready here just to prove our case. July 31st, 2020, episode 226, Basil. What episode is this? 577. So a good number of episodes ago. titled Soul Cages. That is the first episode we touched on this surveillance thing of the sewer, and we noted that there was
I
an
don't know
article.
if it was the first time we touched on it.
I think this was July 2020. Because,
July 2020.
Yes, July 2020,
yeah.
because we cited an article from waterworld.com, and the headline was Israeli scientists pinpoint COVID-19 outbreaks and sewer surveillance pilot project. So this was literally one of the first reports of any kind of sewer surveillance, and we were like, this is going to be a thing.
This is it. This is
going to be a problem, and here we are, almost 3 years later? I guess 2.5 years later, and we have Trudeau.
Willy-nilly testing flights. I think, so the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, now, of course, this doesn't apply to Canada, but the 14th Amendment, talks about right to privacy in your person, in your house, in your papers, in your belongings. And I can't imagine a more a more applicable term to sewer surveillance than it infringing on the rights of what is in your person. I mean, it is literally.
You know what I'm just trying to see what kind of counter arguments can be presented, and perhaps once it enters the sewer, and it's city property,
becomes public property.
It's in public pipelines, then you lose your rights.
You're making a tax deductible gift to the airline by using their facilities.
Decentralized toileting. That's the nenext big thing.
Decentralized toileting.
Protect all your waste data from the government.
Another reason to go off grid, folks, because your septic tank, that is centralized toileting. That is keeping what's the phrase? Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Right.
You stay in possession of your waste, and they have no right to test it.
Remember, Bill Gates recently unveiled his game-changing toilet of the future that he said it gets rid of the waste and more green way or whatever, but all the data is being collected and sent over to some database somewhere, so.
Oh no, his was the incinerator. It was
the incinerator. I know.
One. So you use the toilet, it tests your waste as it's deposited, and then incinerates the evidence.
Right. So we're going to need the jailbreak version of the Bill Gates toilets. So it's not collecting that data, but we can still leverage the incineration part of it. But anyway,
my only message is get a warrant. You want to take a look? You want to take a look at my toilet? Get a warrant.
Yeah, and the other part, was going back to this flight thing in Vancouver. You would have to not go number one or number two, but also you can't necessarily consume anything. What if the flight attendant is a spy trying to frame someone of COVID? Give him some really.
Flight attendants are always spies. We know
I know.
this.
That's what I'm saying. They serve you what you think is a Diet Coke.
Yeah, flight attendants are sort of seen as this matronly caretaker type figure.
Right.
But in reality, they are highly trained assassins and counter-terrorist agents, which well, thank you for your service, flight attendants.
Yeah, tough job.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. No, it's Wednesday, though. It's Weird Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. Time for the Canary Crime News Sucker. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
We might need to truncate that playlist just a bit. That was
Wednesdays
beautiful.
Are always intense.
I don't know how I could possibly choose which ones to take out is the problem. But
you would have to rotate.
Anywho, it is Wednesday. We're here. It is. We do have a baby in the studio, which we're very excited about. I think I kept thinking that we are having lag, Gons, on the Skype call, but turns out it's just you being distracted by a baby. So we can get used to that. Anything exciting happened since Monday?
Nothing terribly exciting. I will mention that Elon Musk tweeted out, because we didn't have it anywhere in the show here, he tweeted out the screenshot where there's 3 overlapping circles. One circle says 1984, the other one says Brave New World, and then the other one says Fahrenheit 451. And in the overlapping segment of all 3, it says "You are here," and it looked very familiar. And I realized that it was Mel and Aaron over at Truth Stream Media who actually made this graphic in a video that was published in 2019. So Elon Musk using Truth Stream Media content without crediting them.
Hey.
Come on, Elon, source your sources, cite your sources.
How is that even possible? But
it's from a video called Beyond Censorship, Destroying Free Thought Online, published March 29th, 2019. If anyone wants to go look it up, it's a good video. It's about 50 minutes, and it just covers everything. It'll just help you understand that, what's happening now, what's been happening is the people paying attention have been warning about it for a long time.
Is this a paid sponsorship? Or
no.
Are we going to get a call out?
No.
Their show?
This is just.
I wonder sometimes.
You think I'm getting some Bitcoin under the table from the mixer?
Maybe you got some back end deal or something.
No. This is just
a great resource.
No, it's just friends over there at Truth Stream Media, and I noticed that they did mention how the Elon used a screenshot from their documentary. So just wanted to give them credit where credit is due, and that's
Indeed.
it. That's yeah.
Speaking of credit, I do want to take this opportunity to put a call out for a producer or two who might be wondering how they can serve the show, produce the show, become a part of the team. I'm going to ask you to bring up Dove's art for today, if you got it handy.
Yeah.
And that is that we have some producer turnaround that we need to staff up a bit. For the timestampers. That's right. Now's your chance if you've been out there enjoying the value brought to you by Canary Cry News Talk. And every 2 days you hear about an elite squadron of heroes. That's right. Heroes are timestampers. Our timestampers are producers who listen to the show and collect a handful of timestamps that go in a document that help out a whole bunch of back-end stuff. Much of the Canary Cry resources that we all enjoy would be impossible without the timestampers. And there's a wonderful system put in place by the wonderful producer Jade Bouncerson. And it's easy. It's fun. You join a team. You get some of the back ends, gossip at the show, and also help out the show once a week. It's a once a week position here, as far as I remember.
Once a week. You're right. Sorry.
It's once a week. Yeah. And so if you're out there, you're catching the show live anyways, and you want to fill a very needed need. We need one or two. I'm sure they wouldn't mind having two timestampers to join the team. And Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia, brought us this wonderful piece of art for today, which he's helping us out. It's a flyer. It's a help wanted poster for Canary Cry timestampers. Says, help wanted, timestampers, hard work, but great pay. Yes, and that's the pay comes in different forms than you might be expecting, but contact canarycryradio@gmail.com if you're interested. In the art on this is fantastic. You've got sort of a blue collar canary wearing a reflective vest and a hard hat, and he's at a hydraulic stamping machine. Stamping googly eyes onto clocks. That's right. That is an excellent depiction of what the timestamping job is like. So if that's you, contact us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. We get you all hooked up. We appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, speaking of producers, it's time to thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. It is up to you, dear listener, or whoever is out there getting value from the show to put value back in. It's not just a plea for assistance or a cry for help. It is just literally the only way to keep independent media integrous is by kicking out all corporate influence, and that includes corporate money. And the executive producers are those who go a long way to carry the show. They are generous with their support. They get a lot of value, so they put a lot of value back in. And however, Gons, today, it's for the first time in 2023, we made it so far, but for the first time in 2023, we have no executive producers. Boom, 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 boom. That's right. So, we're flying light today. I don't know if that's an actual term, but
flying light.
Flying light. It's a skeleton crew. We're keeping costs down. We're pinching pennies just like everybody else, right? But there's still time if anybody wants to become a producer of the show, perhaps even executive producer. Head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Yep, and we'll be thanking a couple more producers later on in the show. So let's just get on with the show, I suppose. Time for Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world, and now there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from DailyMail.co.uk, so you know it's going to be good. Last episode, we reported on the robot that lost its job at the Honda factory and was replaced by a human. Well, the battle isn't over, folks. DailyMail.com.uk reports, rise of the restaurant robots. Chipotle and White Castle are spending hundreds of thousands a month on automation to combat labor shortages and rising food costs, but it is still cheaper than paying human workers. And you probably don't even need to read the article because they summarize the whole thing up there in a headline, but here we go. The rise of the restaurant robots is upon us. Major fast food chains are employing robots to flip burgers, brew espressos, and greet customers, and it is a fraction of the cost compared to paying human workers. White Castle is testing the Flippy robot at 100 locations. Okay, we know all this. Starbucks has an $18,000 AI-powered espresso machines at 1,200 locations. As food costs rise, the intense labor shortage grips the U.S. That isn't an invented labor shortage now. Paying monthly rentals for machines has become a cost-effective option. The National Restaurant Association recently reported that 4 in 5 operators are understaffed and have been since the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020. However, experts are not yet sold and believe it will be a few years before robots take the place of human workers. Oh, good news. Experts think it'll be a few years before robots take the place of human workers. Just a few, Gons.
Yeah.
David Henkes, a principal at Technomic, a restaurant research firm, told CNBC, quote, I think there's a lot of experimentation that is going on to lead us somewhere at some point, but we're still a very labor-intensive, labor-driven industry. The labor shortages have forced restaurant owners to offer higher wages to attract more staff, which combined with increasing food costs is leading establishments to run their banks dry to stay afloat. Oh, these poor fast food chains draining their banks dry. But this is where automation comes to the rescue. And then it goes into a number of the other robots. They list the robots. They go through the chains. They talk about Chippy, the Chipotle chip-making robot, and more. But Guns, I forgot to bring this. Somebody sent this to me, and it's just a move of the Holy Spirit or Daily Mail algos. If you see, there is a link to another article to the right, just below that flippy picture there. And it says McDonald's new fully automated restaurant, which is completely run by machines, leaves internet divided. Ooh, I love it. It's more of a story on the social upheaval. But it is true. McDonald's has opened up a fully automated restaurant in Texas, of all things. Can you believe it? Texas. What are you doing, Texans? Which is completely run by machines. So you don't have to speak to anyone. You don't have to speak to anyone. Oh, yeah. That's the worst part about fast food, is having some other sentient human being observe you doing it, and the shame that comes along with that. And it has left people on the internet divided. The brand new eatery, located just outside Fort Worth, uses advanced technology so that customers can order their food and receive their meal without having to interact with any humans. While some people are excited about the idea, others find it a little creepy. And then it goes on to some TikTokers or something. One thing I noticed with the reports about this McDonald's, notable lack of pictures of the guts, the kitchen, the inside. Oh, yeah. What's going on in there? Yeah, what's going on behind the scenes? Yeah, and considering, the sort of, riot that started when the pink goo video came out. Remember the pink goo video? Yeah. This was the video, it came out probably about 10 years now, of the chicken nuggets as they were being manufactured, and it's pink goo, of course. You turn chickens into sort of a raw slurry, it's going to be pink, folks. I don't know why that was surprising to anybody. But yes, I imagine there's two possibilities. Either it's still staffed by humans on the back in the kitchen, or the robotic dystopia that is the fully automated McDonald's restaurant is so horrifying that it would make you question the very concept of food and existence. So sure. I'm assuming that's why they're not releasing any photos of it.
I have video here showing of at least the counter area. Looks very clean. Looks like a computer store.
Looks like an Apple store.
Apple store or something, yeah. And then it's got the arm sort of delivering the food. It's just a conveyor type of thing that rolls out for people to pick up. Nothing too crazy looking. A little kiosk where you can order stuff.
Oh, no, it's very lovely on the customer-facing side. I will say the article says here, while your food will be cooked by real people.
That's what I was going to say. It's in the
That's not
it's
fully
automated. Still staffed by people, which is the tweet. Actually, I have this tweet from Elijah Schaefer, who has this video here. And there's a little caption where it says, readers added context they thought people might want to know. This McDonald's concept store in Texas is still staffed by actual humans, just only in the kitchen and not the counter. So,
well, there you go. Yeah. You don't have to. Well, I think, on a social engineering level, that's the key. Now, technologically, they might not be quite there to fully automate the kitchen, but on a social engineering level, getting people used to the idea of handing over, responsibility to robots, having an entirely robot sort of front end of the establishment is a very powerful message. Get people used to the idea that they don't need a human to fulfill their caloric needs. It's just the beginning, folks. Watch out.
The humans are in the back getting the manufactured food items prepared for the machines to
it's got kind of a second-class citizen feel, doesn't
it? And it's just it's kind of like what was the name of the character that kept getting pushed aside in a really obscure reference to a 90s movie called Office Space.
Oh, Office Space. Everybody loves Office Space.
No, the guy with he keeps getting pushed aside. He gets sent to the basement. What's his name? I forget his name. He's the one that burns down the whole building or the whole...
somebody in the chat will know.
Yeah, somebody in the chat mentioned him.
Google Office Space guy.
Yes. Yeah, cool. What are you writing over here, bud? Yeah, good job. All right. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like that with the humans, you know. As the robots take over, the humans are just going to be demoted to. Yes.
You are needed.
Yeah. Oh, it's broken.
For a very important thing. What is broken?
What's
Report.
broken?
Boots on the ground.
Nothing is broken. I don't think anything.
Milton.
Milton, thank you.
Name.
Thank you, Milton. Yes.
Milton. He needs a stapler.
All right.
Okay. What do you got? Let's move on.
Let's do some politic here.
Uh-oh.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
All right. You know, politics, not my favorite subject, but yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I can take it for you if you need to fix something there for your child.
Sure, yeah.
Because this is boring and it will be fast. Don't worry, everybody. Don't panic.
Okay.
But the votes have been going on and on and on about the leader, the majority leader of the Republican Party in the Congress there. And, of course, Kevin McCarthy was the presumed winner of this. But now votes have been going on. I think we're about 5 ballots in, trying to figure out who the top Republican's going to be, and still not decided. The CNN Politics here has something to say about it. This was, today. McCarthy may have only himself to blame, says CNN. Governing by chaos is back. Now, this is the fun part. I do have some analysis of this, but let's get a little bit of the goods here. 2 years after the master of political mayhem, ex-President Donald Trump stormed out of Washington in disgrace. He stormed out. Republicans have finally won back some power, but they still don't know how to properly use it. Ooh. After weeks of vowing to hold President Joe Biden to account, the new GOP House majority arrived in town Tuesday and promptly failed in its most basic task: electing a speaker to lead it. A revolt of ultra-hardliners in an already hardline conference dealt humiliation to Kevin McCarthy, the California lawmaker who saw his decades-old dream of wielding the gavel dashed, at least for now. Trump, who is partly to blame for the debacle after contributing to a smaller-than-expected GOP House majority after his self-serving interventions in the midterm elections, called on handouts Wednesday to get behind McCarthy. Quote, Republicans do not turn a great triumph into a giant and embarrassing defeat, the ex-president wrote on his Truth Social platform in all caps, saying McCarthy would do a good and, quote, maybe even a great job. Many of the rebels are among Trump's strongest supporters, and McCarthy spoke to Trump on Tuesday night amid signs his support was beginning to fray. Even Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, Jewish space lasers.
Yes, known for more for embracing conspiracy theories than stable governance, complained that the party was thwarting its own goals, quote, because 19 Republicans decided to blow up the speaker's race. Greene backs McCarthy. McCarthy became the first candidate to fall short in a first ballot for speaker in a century. Almost poignantly, the impasses means Republicans are unable even to assume the control they won in the midterms, as a new House can't yet be sworn in. Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun. Now, this is the most boring thing to ever happen in American politics, and the news media is exploding with the opportunity to talk about it. Now, I have actually consumed some what I thought to be interesting analysis in comparison to, how the Democrats sort of run things. In previous years, the Democratic Party has been sort of criticized for devouring its own. In the heat of the wokeness thing, you had Democrats trying to cancel other Democrats, calling each other sort of racist and trying to jockey for position amongst each other using, the only weapon they know how to use, which is sort of the wokeism language issue. And this stopped very shortly into President Trump's term, when they all had a common enemy and Nancy Pelosi whipped everybody into shape. And what we're seeing now, and Republicans were always sort of praised for, hey, They may be horrible people, but they don't hurt their own. And in the grand tradition of the political switcheroo that we've been seeing recently, where Democrats and Republicans have sort of started to trade places once more.
Mm-hmm. As the cultural pendulum.
Exactly. Yeah. We see this every few decades. And we've been sort of pointing it out recently, tracking the progress. And this seems to be one of these things, because what Republicans are doing here is they are acting like Democrats. And they are much like at the beginning of the existence of the Squad, right? The Squad, the socialist Democrats who are going to go in there and disrupt politics, disrupt the corporate Democrat way, MO. AOC was going to go in there and oppose Nancy Pelosi's corporate interests and blah, blah, blah. And of course, that never happened. The Squad basically fell in lockstep with the rest of the party. But what we have here is sort of a Republican squad sort of forming. 19 Republicans, the CNN here calls them rejectionists, have chosen Jim Jordan to be the new leader. They're sort of pushing for Jim Jordan, and he's kind of a,
I like Jim Jordan. He's
a spicy figure.
Yeah, he's good. He's kind of.
He's
a
on Twitter a lot.
Guy.
He seems plugged in at least to the real constituency. And so these 19 Republicans are holding out, voting for McCarthy in preference of Jim Jordan. But it turns out that it's really because these 19 Republicans have demands of McCarthy. They, for their constituencies, for their careers, they're asking for places on committees and budgets for projects. And basically, McCarthy has turned down these 19 Republicans, thinking that he had all the votes he needed. Well, it turns out it's not the case. So you really do kind of have a Republican squad that is sabotaging this whole thing. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the media to make fun of Republicans for the same thing that Democrats used to do, which is all very boring. And I apologize for putting you all through it. But what's not boring, Gonzo?
The one piece of information that definitely is making the rounds in the truther
reason
milieu,
why it's still a good bet, to bet on McCarthy becoming the House Majority Leader is this fun little detail.
World Economic Forum, that's weforum.org, has a little profile here of Kevin McCarthy. And the title he has under his little bio, Majority Leader of the U.S. House of Representatives, period. So I guess the World Economic Forum, the selectors.
Yes.
They go around the electors.
Such drama in the media and in politics. Everybody, much consternation about this vote. Jim Jordan, Kevin McCarthy, everybody sweating over this. I think they shouldn't worry too much because apparently Klaus Schwab has already chosen that Kevin McCarthy is going to win this one.
We have the penetrating machine for the Republican Party. Yeah.
Yes.
The whole deal.
And exactly. And that is the question. Klaus, who has many times previously bragged that his World Economic Forum has penetrated cabinets across the globe. I think could there be a very tactful sort of psyop for this? The World Economic Forum certainly is aware now that the first thing anybody does is go check the World Economic Forum. So,
but here, the Trump endorsement is also very interesting because in this kind of tumultuous time of uncertainty within the Republican Party, are we going to promote DeSantis? Are we going to go back and support Trump? For him to support a guy who's clearly World Economic Forum related is sort of not reading the room in terms of the sentiment of the right-leaning folks, So it's very interesting.
There's an interesting number of things going on here. Trump endorsed McCarthy, and Klaus apparently endorses McCarthy. Now, there's an interesting, the PSYOP there being, in the 2020, what was it? This midterms, whatever the midterms were.
Yeah.
2022 midterms.
Just a few months ago.
I know, there's so
2
many.
months ago. Yeah.
In the 2022 midterms, you had the actual DNC, the Democratic official party, was making donations to the campaigns of, MAGA Q Republicans,
right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, these crazy, in their words, they're crazy people. And the Democrats were funding them because they thought it would be easier to win.
Right. It's the same
MAGA
tactic they used with Trump. Hillary used. Put Trump in there. He can be beat.
Exactly. He's the one they could beat. And so there is a part of me that's like, I wonder if if Klaus is endorsing McCarthy in a way as a ploy to get the other Republicans to vote against him. Because, they don't want to be seen as voting in a WEF shill, a World Economic Forum agent. And so we must stop this at all costs. And that is, you talk about the types of power that the World Economic Forum can wield. It's almost exclusively soft power, but it is very, very powerful soft power. They do it with having corporations agree to their ESG ideas, and it's very soft power. It's not like they actually are the leaders of anything. And talk about soft power. If you can just put up one sentence on your website and affects the voting of an entire national party, that's pretty brilliant. It's just sort of objectively.
It's just interesting. If Klaus is playing 4D chess, is Trump playing 5D? And it just gets really mysterious, but it's all part of the Great Reset.
We need a Great Reset.
Everybody's trying to play their own game, I bet.
Sure.
So, anywho, there you go.
Yep.
That's the news.
That's the news. This is ongoing debacle of the House. Real quick, as a side note, within politics.
But as the days of no.
Not that one. Sorry. Wrong jingle. Oh, I thought I had the jingle that I need ready. But here it is.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Yes, a Nephilim update during the politics section because Jack Posobiec tweeted this out yesterday. Congrats to the Nephilim. I saw this and I was like, what? What are you talking about, Jack Posobiec? Yeah, okay. I know, it's outrageous. Uh-huh. What do you want? This right here? Here, take this. There you go. Oh, your hand is dirty. Okay. So Jack Posobiec tweeted out, congrats to the Nephilim. He was retweeting Dr. Taylor Marshall, who had his tweet, historic moment for America. The first ever member of the Nephilim community has sworn into office as a U.S. senator. And it's a video of John Fetterman. Remember John Fetterman, the cyborg candidate? He's up there with the Kamala, and they're doing a little photo op, and it's awkward and whatever.
So you call him a cyborg because he has a pacemaker, not because he's actually part of the transhumanist party.
Right. But John, didn't he have like a speech thing that allows him to? He has to like connect to the computer to.
That was pretty early on. No. That's okay. I see what you're saying. No, because of his stroke, he needed help understanding what people were saying to him.
Right, they're calling him the cyborg candidate, though.
Who's calling him that?
There were folks calling him the.
You were calling him that.
Look, Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson called him a cyborg. Here, right here. Daily Dot. I remember this, and I think we reported on this as well. So.
Well, you said it. I don't remember there being a story about it.
John Fetterman will be our first. Will John Fetterman be our first cyborg senator? Tucker Carlson fears might not be grounded and stuff like that.
Might not be grounded. TheFederalists.com. Is cyborg John Fetterman really fit for office?
Yeah. Steve Bannon claims John Fetterman is dangerous cyborg. So it was out there. Okay, this concept was out there.
All
right.
But
the point being, I find it interesting that they would invoke the name or title Nephilim, and John Pacific kind of playing into it. Congrats to the Nephilim. I'm wondering, what is this, some kind of public dissemination of the Nephilim topic? Because I'm sure most people that follow Jack Pacific probably aren't really aware of the significance of who the Nephilim are, or what they are historically, or anything. It's just weird to bring that up in this context with John Fetterman.
Yeah, well, the cyborg thing was weird too. Yeah, it seems like there's been like he's sort of a target for these sort of, or maybe a testing. Maybe it's kind of testing these terms to see if there's enough people that resonate with anti-cyborg or anti-Nephilim rhetoric.
Yeah, interesting that those two things are somewhat synonymous with.
It is really weird.
Truth or or not truth or necessarily.
No,
when it comes to Jack Pacific,
like
it's more
biblical prophecy people.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's just weird that I guess that's sort of the milieu right now, and the temperament of the people they're looking at these topics.
Yeah,
and they're coming in contact with this type of information. Yeah. Oh yeah, yes. The microphone pad is fantastic. He wants to sit down. I'm going to have him sit down for a moment.
Okay.
Because
he's going to have him sit down for a little bit, everybody. Is he on camera? Do we have a baby on camera?
You want to say something?
Oh.
Yeah. What do you want? Uh-huh.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, he knows what a microphone is.
Looks absolutely insane right now. You've got me and my cartoon barista version, and you've got Gonz holding a baby.
Yeah, he loves to press the jingle board, so that's
This might be our most efficient and professional episode ever.
Yeah.
I think he's saying something about Fetterman there.
Could be, yeah. No, keep that on the microphone, bud. All right, let's do some DNA talk, I guess.
'Cause I'm DNA.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Yes. Is this me? Am I doing this? Okay.
Please,
sounds like the baby
help.
has taken things over. Yes. All right. Well, good thing we're starting this section off with a clip, because you may have heard that the Idaho murders have been solved and the suspect has been identified. Let's play this clip from ABC.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
I have it starting at a certain point because I didn't have an opportunity to fully clip it. As you can see, a little busy over here, but I think this explains the situation. The part we need to hear. Okay, hold on one second. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I have child crawling on me.
Be a long process. Now new details emerging about how law enforcement tracked Kohberger down. Sources telling ABC News they used public genealogy databases like those used to catch the Golden State Killer.
You have DNA from a crime, but you don't have a suspect. He's not in a database. So you use public databases of genealogy looking for relatives. So eventually, you get down to the point where you can match the DNA potentially to your suspect.
Recent students of his at Washington State University speaking out, one saying his appearance changed around the time the murders took place.
He looked a little bit more disheveled. He had like some stubble coming on, and his hair was a little, messed up or whatever. I remember seeing him and thinking like, oh man, finals must be really getting to him.
28-year-old Kohberger remained a teacher's assistant, working towards his criminology PhD until the end of the semester, before driving 2,500 miles to Pennsylvania with his father. His lawyer now telling ABC News that on that journey, he was pulled over twice for traffic violations in Indiana, while driving that white Hyundai Elantra authorities have been looking for.
Okay, so the point that we kind of moved past it, but it was this idea of a public database, public DNA database.
Yeah.
And that got me wondering, what public DNA database?
Yeah, and it was interesting because they mentioned the Golden State Killer.
Yes.
And the Golden State Killer was notoriously found specifically through 23andMe. That was all over the news. It was 23andMe that was used to find the Golden State Killer. It was not a public database. The 23andMe database, at least at that time, was not a public database. The company actually, participated or at least obeyed when law enforcement got involved, and they got a lot of heat for that. Do you remember what year Golden State Killer was caught?
I thought it was last year. Hold on, let me check.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit longer than that. Let's see here. How the stolen Golden State Killer in early 2020.
Okay, okay.
Early
Looks
2020.
Like 2020. Yeah.
Yep, I got it right here. So, now, I was confused by the same thing you said. Public genealogy database. What is going on here? The Golden State Killer was caught by 23andMe. Is 23andMe now a public database? And we started looking at 23andMe to see if they had anything about that. And we have this New York Post.
Yeah, it's the second New York Post article in the links there. But yeah, it's the eerie links between.
Says.
Yeah. The headline is the eerie links between Brian Kohlberger and the BTK Golden State and Grim Sleeper murderers. And there's a spot that specifically says, says, but while genetic genealogy has helped serve justice in major cases, it is still controversial due to concerns about member privacy. Some major companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com do not allow police to search through their databases. Okay, so that's a new thing. 23andMe can't be publicly seen. Yeah, you can't go to 23andme.com and then start looking for DNA sequences of all these people.
Yeah, that would cause all sorts of issues. Yeah. And they can't really be seen as participating in law enforcement stuff so much because then, as another article stated, 23andMe specifically has seen a notable drop in market share, specifically, starting around the Golden State Killer thing, where everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're going to use my DNA and sell it and blah, blah, blah. Of course, there's lots of stories of 23andMe was sold to a Chinese company. So congrats everybody who now has the Chinese government in possession of their DNA. But, and we went looking around. Turns out 23andMe did go public last year. And I was like, is that what they mean by public database? Are they sort of being sort of deceptive and saying public database, meaning, anybody can search it, or are they saying it's, a database by a public company? I don't know. It's all very confusing. I did do a search, spent some time clicking around, looking to see which, what are these publicly available genetic databases? Why are there any? What are they? Where did the data come from? And turns out there's a number of them. One of them is GenBank. Let's see here if I have my original search up. Come on, baby. Yeah, there we go. So there's a few that are public. They include one called just pulling up my notes here. GenBank is one.
Yep.
MitoYDNA.org. Let's see. OpenSNP database. And specifically, OpenSNP caught my attention because the description of it is a public database of genotyping files uploaded by customers of direct-to-consumer testing companies. The database includes files from 23andMe, Decode Genetics, and FTDNA's Family Finder test.
This first New York Post article does mention here, just further down, the headline is "Unique Way Cops Use DNA Evidence to Close In on Idaho Students' Murder Suspect Brian Kohlberger." It says that in investigating the Idaho murder, the DNA samples are often put through the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, the national DNA database maintained by the FBI, Yakmet explained.
Well, that's interesting.
It says often. It says often.
Often.
The DNA samples are often put through that. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what they did. Yeah. Quote, "What I think took a long time was a massive amount of evidence they collected," he said. "You just don't put a droplet under a microscope and then you can analyze it." Then it goes into cell phone data and different types of data. But that's what. It's weird because it says that, mentions this database, CODIS, maintained by the FBI, and it doesn't clarify if that is the public database or if that is what they did, because, again, it says here, what they often do is they run it through that system. So
right, I think specifically they put it that way because that's not specifically what they did not do. Right. So. And as always, really, so far, is the case with these 23andMe type crime-solving events. It's not that this fella himself had uploaded his DNA to a public database or whatever, but that a family member had done it. So they can connect to him through the family member. So,
I found this document titled, it's an audit report, the Combined DNA Index System, September 2001. Yeah, buddy, what's up? Yeah, it's broken. Yeah, okay. The whole thing is broken for sure. It's oig.justice.gov. Hold on, let me get this out and then I'll come help you with your broken thing. It says here, in our judgment, uploading unallowable DNA profiles could be viewed as a violation of privacy for the individuals involved. In addition, if we suspect we're tied to one or more crimes through unallowable CODIS profiles, the evidence may not be admissible in court. This could affect the outcome of trial, since DNA is often the most compelling evidence linked to a suspect in a crime. Furthermore, when allowable profiles are included in CODIS, it undermines public confidence in DNA databases.
Oh,
yeah, interesting. Yep. The
Yeah.
LA concerns overfunction, creep, and the use of genetic information for discriminatory purposes. The FBI and DNA laboratories need to scrupulously abide by the law, especially those provisions addressing allowable profiles and allowable uses for the information in CODIS. So,
yeah, well, as we've seen, the medical industrial complex has always been very tedious and integrous in following the law. That's something we learned.
They're so good at it. They're just a shining example of following the rules in this world.
So, of course, this is a horrible series of murders, and this guy is a monster, and he needs to be put away. And, it's funny because the DNA thing, they're giving credit to the DNA search database, public database, whatever. But this guy, while an APB was out on his car had been reported. They were looking for his car. The fella got pulled over twice with no, and they still couldn't catch him. He got pulled over for traffic violations twice in his little escape plan.
Yeah, well, defund the police,
while they were looking for his car. So, okay, sure, the DNA got him, but what's going on with regular policing that you can have a quadruple murderer pulled over twice in a few hours and not realize that it's the guy? Okay, sure. I guess DNA in this case, these DNA databases are making up for some pretty lax, police officers on the job.
Maybe that's the psyop of the whole story,
Kind of seems like it, huh?
Yeah. Creating that vacuum so they can swoop in and have new ways to govern and to police and all that kind of stuff. It's almost like a DNA. Every police officer gets an instant DNA kit to see if their profiles show up in some kind of, because they already have stuff, right? If you have a driver's license, if you have a DUI or something, you bring your driver's license somewhere. Certain places can't serve you drinks if you have a DUI, stuff like that. So we're just moving in the direction of having a giant DNA database be sort of in addition to all that other stuff they keep track of us. So yay surveillance. Maybe they'll party with us.
Sure.
Go to canarycry.party, put it in your URL. There you will find a tree of links that will lead to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community.
That's right. Go check it out. All sorts of good stuff there. And let's thank some producers.
It's break time!
Come on, take a break, folks. That's right. We're on the value for value model. We take no corporate money whatsoever. The only reason we exist and the only reason that we're able to do this show as often as we do is because of listeners like you, those who get value out of the show, putting value back in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. And we're going to thank producers all throughout the show, but right now we're going to thank some financial producers that keep the lights on over here. We appreciate it very much. Yeah. Still no executive producers. So this one's getting pretty close to pro bono, Gons. Bono episode here.
Every once in a while.
You know what? Hey, you got to do it. Yep. So we're going to start out by thanking some producers. Here we go. Okay. We've got here's a good one though. This is a good way to start it off. We're going to start off by thanking producer Sea Monster.
Sea Monster, eh?
Yes, Sea Monster coming in with a nice round number, which means we're not going to disclose it. If you support the show with a nice round number, that's you telling us not to disclose the amount. If you don't mind us disclosing it, you make it some sort of funky number. Some people put 33 cents on the end or 77. So, just kind of have fun with the numbers there. It's up to you. That's how value for value works. But Sea Monster sends in a good note here. He says, Basil and Gons, after years of being a staunch conspiracy skeptic and scoffer, CCNT is my first venture into reading between the lines of the mainstream narrative. Thanks to the Sentinel for pushing me outside my comfort zone and challenging my worldview. Keep being shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. Sent in my first production contribution on your way. Hopefully I got it right. Sincerely, Sea Monster. Hey, that's what we like to see, Monster.
Yeah. Does that deserve a demooching? I feel like
of course he gets a demooching for that.
There you go, Sea
Love
Monster.
I love it. Because that's part of the fun part. Look, you and I have a long history in the real conspiracy realm. Of course, you can go listen to Canary Cry Radio, which is a different show, to see that. But one of the big things that we sort of got passionate about was you don't necessarily need to go full, UFO, Bigfoot, flat Earth, whatever, the real conspiracy stuff. There is benefit to simply waking up and being able to see sort of the matrix around you, see how the news media is constantly adjusting the narrative, controlling the mindset, and how the elites get away with so much simply by looking at the mainstream news. So you don't even need necessarily to, get into blogs and newsletters and stuff trying to tell you about whatever it may be, bamboo ballots. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's there's certainly levels that you can apply to your life. So great to see you, Sea Monster. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot, and for the note.
Yep, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. We got producer Gene G.
Gene G.
Yeah, Gene G comes in through the link tree, so the fees are so wonky. It seems like the fees might save us some money coming off of the link tree. I don't know if that's exactly true, but Gene G came in for what I think was 1111.
11. Thank you, Gene G.
Simple note said love from South Africa.
Hey, thank you very much.
South Africa. All right. Thanks, South Africa. Brought us such hits as Elon Musk and D. Antword and producer Gene G. We appreciate it very much.
Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call periods over there. Full stop.
Full stop. Next up, we've got Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots coming in 1111 with 181 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
Thank you very much, Sir Morv. Next up, we've got John B. coming in with a nice round number. We appreciate that. He's got a note. That's Johnny B in the chat. Hey, Johnny B. His note says, Buff Barista Basil is my role model. Caffeine in kilos. To everyone in California, stay warm, dry, and most importantly, safe. It's talking to you there, Gons. Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, John B.
Yeah, Buff Barista Basil is my avatar for today, thanks to Sir Dove a while back. Next up, we've got producer Isaac G.
Isaac G, thank you very much, Isaac. Good to see you.
Now, usually, Isaac G has a note for us. Isaac G, for those who don't know, is the producer who so generously and with the utmost, skill and deftness, is the fella who manages the supply drop. So supply droppers out there, you've got Isaac G to thank for that. And I certainly do. But I am not seeing a note from him. Usually he comes in with a note when he produces. Okay. I hope I don't miss it. Oh, gosh. Isaac G, please correct me if I need to read a note maybe next episode or something. Sounds like things continue to break over there. My goodness. And so I'm going to stall for just another moment. I will say we are beginning to put together the supply drop for Q1. So if you want to get in on some high quality Canary Cry new stock gear, now is your time to sign up. Head to Canary Cry supplydrop.com. Do I have Gons back? It's almost certainly not. I should just look at the stream. The stream will tell me if I have a co-host or not. Oh man, folks. See, this is the beautiful part about parenthood. I was telling Gons before the show that every parent I know, they love their children so much, but they're doing a great job raising children. They're not doing a great job convincing me that it's something that I need to do immediately, but who knows? The Lord will lead on that. Gonzo, you back? No, he's not. Okay. Well, I guess I'm just gonna thank some more producers, but I don't have the jingles, so I'm here. Oh, there he is. So I was gonna say I could acapella the jingles. Yeah. Next up, we've got producer Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Berean Protocol, 126 episodes in a row, pocket full of sevens.
Yeah!
Tweaker!
Oh, yeah! Man, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Alex Protocol.
That's V2. Right. Back on the train there. Well, he's always been on the train for 126 episodes in a row. That concludes the list of producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, entitled them to have a note read on the show. We got a few more people to thank who came in under that. Let's do that now, starting with Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 212 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Next up, we've got producer Runk Smash, 30 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Runk Smash.
Sir Darren, now to the Hungry Pandas, 88 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Darren.
Think he gets that 88 jingle.
Or do we have an 88 jingle? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Flawless victory.
Flawless victory.
That brings me back to the future, man.
Mm-hmm. We've got Doctor Who Done Dat coming in 13 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done Dat.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. We've got Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 248 episodes.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
We've got Veronica D, 212.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 237.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
Fast thing on 2 feet.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Streakalicious indeed. All right. That, as of this exact moment, concludes our list of financial producers coming in to support the show. We appreciate it very much. We literally would not be doing it without you. And if you want to join the illustrious crowd of producers of Canary Cry News Talk, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Corona.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 COVID-19. Coronavirus. Vaccine. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Yeah, so we noticed that there was a bunch of people sharing this clip from a Japanese news source of Professor Masanaka Nagao from Hiroshima University School of Medicine. And, I did watch the clip. It's all in Japanese, so we're not going to play it because, it's kind of, I could sit here and translate everything for you. But basically, he's talking about some interesting things about the body temperature of those coming in that were vaccinated, that their body temperature was much higher than a normal deceased body.
They're saying some of these dead bodies coming in, were at like 100 degrees.
Yeah,
or something.
42 to 44 degrees Celsius, which normally interestingly enough, he says normally they're 33 to 34 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting as well. A little 33.
That's freezing. I guess they are kept in freezers.
Well, Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Oh, Celsius. Yeah. Okay.
So it talks about how Dr. Nagao, the research team, examined the genetic status, and they said, we believe this data suggests that the immune response was not well regulated, the immune response of the vaccines. Dr. Nagao's assumption is that the vaccines caused abnormalities in the immune system, which is not surprising if you've been tracking us with us about the spike protein. As a result, inflammation spread throughout the body. Dr. Nagao is not in a position to conclude that this is the cause of death, as in the vaccine. However, Dr. Nagao believes that the relationship between vaccine and immunity needs further study. And so, who is this guy? Just some random doctor, truther doctor in Japan? Actually, no, he's a real doctor. I looked up ResearchGate. It's got a list of all of Dr. Nagao's research papers while affiliated with Hiroshima University. And one of the more recent studies from August 2022, not 22nd, is this paper, research, titled 4 Cases of Cytokine Storm After COVID-19 Vaccination. And so, he's a legit scientist doing research in Japan. And, of course, the mainstream media is not going to necessarily pick up on this, but it's worth mentioning that around the world, it seems that the effects of the shot are getting examined with a little bit more scrutiny, or at least, there's just more data, I guess, to wade through. And it's one of these issues where the "I told you so" isn't like a great feeling, right, about like, hey, we're so right that these things were deadly. And it's like, it's almost as if the other side want
we
you
weren't
to
even necessarily saying that out of our own.
No, we weren't.
We were just reporting on what could be seen in the data, even in the mainstream stories. When you wash away all the, rhetorical fluff, the things just weren't adding up.
Right. So, yeah, we were just asking questions, I think was what got us banned.
As of course, a lot of people were
asking just questions about, okay, what about this? Or comparing it to actual research papers, saying like, well, this research paper suggests this. How come the news was reporting it like this? Whatever. So, in any case, it's worth mentioning. It's not like a big, breakdown of anything. It's just more so that the science is catching up, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
The Japanese medical establishment has been sort of the most active on, at least officially, staying on top of everything as far as the vaccine is concerned. I mean, they've had plenty of studies come out. They had every 2 weeks, they had some national committee meeting examining side effects and stuff like that. They even had to change the vaccine insert to name myocarditis and stuff. And they did that way before anybody else did. So there's some sort of, maybe it's just the lack of culture war. Maybe it's more concern for their public because they have an aging and decreasing population.
Yeah.
Maybe, there's probably a number of factors. Maybe it's just good old honor system. But Japan has been some of the most proactive in the world as far as a national medical community to really not be afraid of the truth of a lot of these things.
Dr. Nagao continued, based on the data and the circumstances alone, it is not possible to conclude that the vaccine was the cause of deaths.
Sure.
However, it is important. However, it is important to say that the vaccine was. However, it is impossible to say that the vaccine was not the cause. Your typical sort of scientific.
Which is
approach.
Scientifically, scientifically considerate. It is impossible, to say that it isn't the cause.
But we can only say that it is doubtful, but we believe that vaccination was sufficiently related to the immune abnormalities
that they were seeing.
Yes.
Right.
So at the very least, some interesting immune type of responses were taking place, and that could be the reason why, so they, of course, they can't really say for sure. And that's sort of, again, they're towing the line of, the golden rule of science, so to speak, which we saw just violated over and over again during the last couple of years.
Yeah. The golden rule of science, which didn't exist for 2.5 years.
Right, because emergency, everyone's going to die if we don't, do something. So there you go. Just a little side note, a little rabbit trail for people to go down if they would like to learn more about this kind of stuff. We have links and everything. So, and of course, a couple years worth of research on this podcast. We've documented so much.
Right.
About COVID and the vaccines and the way the media has become sort of just a marketing tool for some big pharma.
Let's stay in the East for a second, Gons.
Stay in the East.
DailyMail.co.uk has something to say about China.
Space. Wanna go to space? Welcome to Chinese news.
It comes from China. China. It's not racist at all, no.
Chinese news! Yeah, and space, apparently. The headline, China, this is great. China could claim the moon as its own territory and ban U.S. astronauts from touching down. NASA boss warns as the two countries battle in new space race to land on the lunar surface again.
I thought we settled this. Wasn't this settled when the Freemasons planted the American flag there?
Yeah, I thought we already had our flag up there. China could claim the moon as its own territory. Dun dun dun.
Okay.
A chief at NASA is raising red flags over China's ambitions to get to the moon. This sounds like a funding plea is what it sounds like. In a new interview, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson says he and others within the scientific agency are growing increasingly concerned over what the country plans to do when they make it to the moon. Nelson, why would they be so concerned? Because we already have our flag there. Why would we be so concerned?
They're going to take over the moon base. The clones are running the moon base.
If it is true that we already planted our flag, then we shouldn't be so worried. It's almost like we should only be worried unless our flag wasn't already planted there. It's very suspicious. In a new, I already read that part. Nelson believes China could attempt to corner the market on surface-rich locations on the moon's surface and try to block out the U.S. and other countries looking to make it to the lunar object. There is potentially mischief China can do on the moon. That is a great word for it.
Hey, I'm sorry. The NASA and the U.S. not capable of mischief on the moon?
No.
Just the Chinese? I mean, the mythology for the Chinese goes way back. I mean,
yeah.
Your Jade Rabbit. Yeah.
There is, yes, that's for a different podcast. There's potentially mischief China can do on the moon, said another official monitoring the space race. The concerns come less than 1 month after the 3 Chinese astronauts returned from a 6-month trip in which they helped to build and open a new space station. In an interview with Politico, Nelson said he and others are concerned the communist nation will attempt to claim territory over the moon upon their arrival. Quote, "It is a fact. We're in a space race," said the NASA administrator who was appointed by U.S. President Joe Biden in 2021. Quote, "And it is true that we better watch out that they don't get to a place on the moon under the guise of scientific research, and it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they say, 'Keep out, we're here, this is our territory,'" Nelson continued. The NASA boss said he fears China will mimic their strategy when it came to claiming land and water in the South China Sea, talking about Taiwan. Quote, "If you doubt that, look at what they did with the Spratly Islands," Nelson says. Well, China has taken claim over the hotly contested. They meant contested there. Hotly contested means something else. China has taken claim over the hotly contested Spratly Islands and have used the islands to house weaponry and other structures, possibly large enough to store ballistic missile launchers. Ooh. Let's see. We can't let them get missile launchers on the moon. NASA and China's space program are both working overtime to make it to the moon in the coming years and have spent recent months working towards the goal. The 26-day Artemis 1 mission from November to December was considered a success as an Orion capsule orbited the moon, moving NASA one step closer to its goal of building a human presence on the moon. Estimates say NASA could see success in their mission as early as 2025. Nelson's concerns could be exacerbated by Congress's passage of a budget that did not include the full funding the agency requested. Despite the, there it is. There's the kicker.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
They didn't get enough money, so now China is going to take over if you don't give us the money.
Exactly. Despite the agency not receiving the full budget, Nelson said they will still fund all their most important assets, including the upcoming Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 moon missions. Yeah, weird. So they're fine. They have everything fully funded. So the stuff that didn't get funded apparently was not very important for their primary mission.
But China, take over.
Exactly. The primary concern is that delays in any of NASA's programs in the coming years could put the U.S. behind China. Quote, "It's entirely possible. They could catch up and surpass us. Absolutely, Space Force Lieutenant General Nina Armagno said last month. Quote, "The progress they've made has been stunningly fast," Armagno said. China in the last few years alone has launched orbiters, landers, and rovers that have reached the moon and Mars. Quote, "China within the last decade has an enormous success and advances," echoed Nelson. "It is true that their date for landing on the moon keeps getting closer and closer. Yes, that is how time works, Mr. Nelson. Thank you." Another key concern for security experts is that China's broader space goals could include interfering with space systems operated by the United States.
What space systems?
The space lasers.
The Jewish lasers?
Well,
don't be anti-Semitic, China.
Yeah. One former commander of the International Space Station said they believe the country who comes out on top in the has much to gain from the space race.
Did they just think no one was going to read this article and they just don't care?
I just don't think anybody took the time to read through it. Quote, "On one level, it is a political competition to show whose system works better," said Terry Virts, the former commander of the International Space Station. And then it goes into what they want to be as the best country and da-da-da-da-da. Again, Virts says there is potentially mischief China could do on the moon. It's Daily Mail. What do you want them to do? Not recycle the same quote several times in one article. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I will say that art mimics life, or life mimics art, or whatever. I have these clips from a canceled show on Netflix called Space Force that we've played on the show before. It might be worth revisiting. And this first one, it's John Malkovich and Steve Carroll leading actors in the show, and they're sort of on this porch and they're looking up at the moon after a long day or a long week at Space Force. And this is the scene here. They're on the porch, they're looking up, they're looking through the telescope. There's the American telescope there.
Wait, is that a second spark?
And then the Chinese telescope pulls up next to it. Giant robot arm comes out, starts dismantling the U.S. satellite. And there you go. Yeah.
It's the predictive programming for the theater that will be China dismantling our space supremacy.
I would not be surprised if the head of NASA, not head of NASA, who is this guy over here on the trying to do the pitch, Bill Nelson, NASA administrator Bill Nelson, got clips from the show, from Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
Like the screenshot right here with that for the viewers watching can see the giant Chinese satellite taking apart the US one and sending it to the government, being like, look, this is pretty much exactly what is going to happen if you don't give us the money.
It's the great American bureaucracy, Gons. But, I am excited because this means that it will bring the space flippy arm wrestling competition closer and closer to reality, which I believe is in the Red Book somewhere. I think we had something about a geopolitical issue regarding robotic arms in space. Mm-hmm. So, we calls them how we sees them, folks.
We got tardigrades on the moon. What else do we have? We have
wormicorns,
Nazis. Nazis.
Just they got everything. The moon's got everything, man. Mm-hmm. Aliens, of course. All right. Just something to keep an eye on, folks.
Yep.
Got to keep NASA funded, of course, because who else is going to keep reinforcing the idea that the world is round? I don't know. We need them. Yeah. All right, folks. Let's take a quick break, Gons. Take a look at some art.
This is a break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. I'll take a few moments here to thank our God-given, talented producers who come in with their talent. Don't just consume the content. Provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you make it about the show. Yeah, make it show specific. We're going to start off with some audio production.
Audio production.
We have a makeup here. I missed this on the last episode, but it's from Jonathan F.
Jonathan F.
Sent a couple pieces in, and the first one here says, "Hello guys, I just thought it would be comedy gold to use the traumatizing comment in a small audio production. God bless, and I pray that this year will be full of more people waking up and coming to the Lord. Amen to that." And so this is the traumatizing moment. It's about a minute long. I don't know. Maybe I'll play the whole thing. We'll see.
It's like I got the Neuralink upgrade or something.
Sure, yeah. Sounds, I feel like a SoundCloud rapper now. Changing the intro music has historically been the most traumatizing possible thing we can do to people.
People get really upset. People get really upset.
I mean, I'm not going to make a big long thing about it, but getting traumatizing specifically, kind of another ways to produce trauma.
Yeah, that is traumatizing. I don't know, that whole jingle made it almost traumatizing to even
trippy, bro.
Hear the whole thing, yeah.
I know. I was trying to remember what we were talking about on a lot of that. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The intro music, yes, that is traditionally very traumatizing to switch up on people.
He also sent us this Zelensky wants money jingle.
I thank everyone. Ukraine wants more. Ukraine wants more.
Very good. Very good.
Ukraine wants more.
Ukraine wants more. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Grandpa Joe's going to give it to him. All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. Appreciate the audio. We are going to move along here to some art.
One art, please.
And it's from Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art, please, from Dove.
I believe we showed this earlier, and now I cannot find it because it threw me off a little bit there, Basil. But there you go. Okay. Dove has a note piece for today's artwork. I did a help wanted ad at the request of Dame Allie, the OG of the Canary Cry News Talk art game. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for Yins. Dove. P.S. The John Tardigrade poster in the back is the movie poster from episode 344's art. And, right? Just the coincidence is not... What am I trying to say? It's not subtle, I guess. We talk about the moon and China and tardigrades, and there it is. There's the tardigrade in the background in the poster from episode 344. It's the same art piece we mentioned earlier, again with the blue collar canary with the reflective vest and the hard hat and the goggles, looking at an assembly line of clocks and then marking them.
Stamping them.
Yes.
Time stamping
them. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Appreciate it. We got to put this up on the social media. Get ourselves a time stamper.
Yeah.
I've not yet received an email for somebody volunteering. So we'll have to send out an emergency notice.
Sure. So thank you very much, Runk Smash, and your continued support of the show with your talent.
Sir Dove.
Who did I say?
You said Runk Smash, and earlier you kept saying telescope when you meant satellite.
Oh,
I think your dad brain.
I must be really. Yeah, no, I'm a little distracted. I apologize.
Yeah.
Words aren't forming.
But yes, thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Yeah, Sir Dove. I'm just ahead of myself because we're going to do some microfiction, and we're going to kick it off with Runk Smash.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
The crowd of terrified believers look on as the ancient warrior Basil grapples the cloaked figure. The stalemate has begun. But now it is obvious that the dark magic of Klaus and his allies are no match for the power behind this faithful old man. This is the one we read last time.
I was under the impression that you were going to...
I did. That's weird. I did replace it.
Did you replace it in the wrong spot?
I wonder if I accidentally pressed undo. Yeah, maybe I put it in the wrong spot. Let me get in here.
Oh, scroll down.
Oh no, the numbers. Weird. I do not know why that happened. Okay, go again. I got it.
Okay. Here we go.
The struggle rages for what seems like hours before Basil is joined by a strange, hulking figure. Sorry I'm late, brother, but I had to finish my sit-ups. Then, with lightning-fast reflexes, he grabs the right side of Klaus, leaving Basil the left. These mystery figures, I don't know what voice to do. I don't know if perhaps that is Samurai Gon's, but you get a white guy voice now. Yeah. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. We also have one from Stefan S. It's Make sure you're on the right one, Basil.
I got it. Overheard in the halls of Ant. Excuse me, you need to consider rewording that. Team members are to refrain from using words or phrases found on the harmful language list. Is panty waste on that list? Let's see. No. Excellent.
Well, good. I'm glad panty waste.
Yes. Initially, I was concerned about using this word on the show, so I looked it up. And panty waist, a child's garment consisting of short pants buttoned to a waist.
Yes.
So sort of high-waisted buttoned shorts. The second definition is sissy.
Oh,
sissy is the second definition, which I'm pretty sure is on the list of banned words. I don't think you can say that. But the recent examples on the web here at Merriam-Webster.com.
Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Sissy makes sense.
Jason Gay from the Wall Street Journal on the 6th of December, 2018, wrote the sentence, "This will not be a league for panty waists or sissies," which I think Jason Gay might get in trouble for saying that.
What if
2018?
What if CC or CC? I guess it's different. CC. Never mind.
What?
In our family, the little ones refer to their older sister as CC.
Yeah, or sissy. Sissy is a thing to call your sister or whatever. But sissy is a banned term because it means like, a sissy, a wimp,
a panty waist.
A panty waist, something like that.
All right.
Thank you very much, Stephen S.
Thank you, Stephen S. for the linguistic rabbit trails. We appreciate that. The language.
Okay. I think that's it for artistic producers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time we finish out the show with some Antarctica.
Let's get cold.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Climate crisis. Penguins.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold.
Antarctica, go first.
It's a snowstorm.
Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
All right, as we continue our exploration of Antarctica as the savior land of the world, something is being reported that I think we could have reported. This is from theconversation.com. The headline is, "More than 100,000 tourists will head to Antarctica this summer. Should we worry about damage to the ice and its ecosystems?" Dun, dun, dun. 100,000 tourists to Antarctica. That's pretty impressive, guys.
A lot of actors.
Yes, of course.
Special ops, former ex-military ops soldiers doing things. Yeah, it's a whole industry now.
Yeah, well, and of course we've been following over the past couple of years the increase in cruise lines going down to Antarctica, expedition tourism, luxury bubble hotels, things like this going on, and there's of course lots of PR, lots of marketing, lots of things like that. And so finally somebody noticed, and let's see what they have to say. As the summer sun finally arrives for people in the southern hemisphere, more than 100,000 tourists will head for the ice, traveling on one of more than 50 cruise ships, 50 of them. They will brave the 2-day trip across the
cannot use the word brave. Conversation. Go look at the Stanford list.
Is that one on the list?
It
brave?
Is. Yes.
Yeah. Racists over here. They will brave the 2-day trip across the notoriously rough Drake Passage below Patagonia, destined for the polar continent of Antarctica. During the COVID summer of 2020 through 2021, just 15 tourists on 2 yachts visited Antarctica. 15 of them. Antarctica, probably the safest place to be during COVID. Only 15 people went. But now, tourism is back and bigger than ever. This season's visitors' numbers are up more than 40% over the largest pre-pandemic year. So even compared to pre-pandemic, we are up 40%. I don't think this is a coincidence. So are all those tourists going to damage what is often considered the last untouched wilderness on the planet? Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
The industry is well run. Tourists often return with a new appreciation for wild places. They spend a surprisingly short amount of time actually on the continent or its islands. But as tourism grows, so will environmental impacts such as black carbon from cruise ship funnels. Tourists can carry in microbes, seed, and other invasive species on their boots and clothes, a problem that will only worsen as ice melts, creates new patches of bare earth. So, yes, if you have seeds attached to your clothes,
you can introduce a whole new type of plant.
The frozen ice on Antarctica. See, that's the sneaky danger here. See, they're saying all the ice is melting, which is untrue. We actually had an increase of ice last year. But, all this new bare earth is going to be a breeding ground for trees. Woo! And cruise ships are hardly emissions misers. Okay. Now, this is what I love. How did Antarctica tourism go mainstream? And this is really the key of what we've been seeing over the past year, especially, but 2 years as our obsession with Antarctica has really grown. How did it go mainstream? Well, Gons, in the 1950s, the first tourists hitched rides on Chilean and Argentinian naval vessels heading south to resupply research bases on the South Shetland Islands. From the late 1960s, dedicated icebreaker expedition ships were venturing even further south. In the early 1990s, as ex-Soviet icebreakers became available, the industry began to expand. But a dozen companies offered trips at that time. By the turn of the century, the ice continent was receiving more than 10,000 annual visitors. Antarctic tourism had gone mainstream. Ooh. That doesn't tell us exactly how it went mainstream, because the how it went mainstream has been the constant onslaught of marketing, PR, and other attention in the news media about Antarctica and how easy it is to go there. We saw Antarctica as the most affordable extreme vacation. We got that link in the show notes a while back. We've got, of course, all the cruise ships, Jimmy Buffett, the TikTok influencer cruise, the this, the that.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast doing his thing. I still don't know who that guy is, but you do mention
big
him
YouTuber
pretty often. Yeah.
I don't know what he does. I just know he's like one of the biggest YouTubers, worth about 10 to 20 billion or something.
Well, what's funny is the question of how did it go mainstream? I submit to you this screenshot because I was just doing some looking around for an Antarctica story for today. And how did it go mainstream? How does anything go mainstream these days? Well, I simply searched in DuckDuckGo the word Antarctica, and it will come as no surprise to anybody that the first onslaught of results were ads, Google ads, for Antarctica cruise packages and hotels. My favorite, hotels in Antarctica, hotel deals in Antarctica.
Do you have the screenshot that we can show, or is it?
I do. I sent it to you before the show. It's in the Skype.
Oh, Skype.
You didn't download it?
No. I didn't.
Nuts, Gonzo.
Oh, here. I'm
That's
getting
okay.
it now. So.
It's just a picture of a Google search or a DuckDuckGo search. So, yeah, of course, in Antarctica, cruising or tourism is exploding because it is somebody has an economic motivation to make it the most popular thing to do if you're some sort of traveler post-pandemic. Honestly, it then goes on to sort of hilariously become a advertisement for Antarctica cruising, because it says most Antarctic tourists travel on small expedition-style vessels. It's like Viking cruise lines, usually heading for the relatively accessible Antarctic Peninsula. Once there, they can take a Zodiac boat ride for a closer look at wildlife or icebergs, or shore excursions to visit penguin or seal colonies. Visitors can kayak, paddleboard, and take the polar plunge, a necessarily brief dip into sub-zero waters. Ooh, sounds like a vacation to me, baby. For most tourists, accommodation, food, and other services are provided aboard ship. I sure hope so, because I don't think there's any. Well, I know for a fact there's no hotels or restaurants on Antarctica. Over a third of all visitors never stand on the continent. Ooh, what a shame. Spend all that time and money, and you don't even get to set foot on the thing. Now, it then ends the article with a section called "Is Antarctic Tourism Sustainable?" And Gons, I'll give you 3 guesses on what they think about this, and the first 2 don't count. Do you have a guess?
As in, what do you mean? Like, what?
Is it sustainable, Antarctic tourism?
Oh, they're going to say yes and no. They already said yes and no.
No, that was a trick. They say no.
Oh, okay.
They just say no, but they couch it like this. They say, they talk about all the ways that Antarctic tourism is going to destroy Antarctica and why we should be very worried about that. And then they say, of course, these impacts aren't limited to tourism. Scientific expeditions come with similar environmental costs. Oh, okay. So you can feel good. Now, this fits into our whole thing, Antarctica being the rich, white, liberal paradise, utopia of the future, is, hey, okay, we get it. Taking a cruise to Antarctica is going to pollute it's going to put some carbon in the air. It's going to scare some penguins. It's going to, you might run across some sort of Nephilim sort of hell creature. You might take a glimpse into the void, the portal that, is at the edge of the flat earth realm, all these sorts of things. But, hey, those scientists, and we all respect scientists around here, those scientists, hey, they're polluting too. So it's okay. Let's go, baby. We're all going to Antarctica.
It's in the name of science.
It's hilarious.
It's okay to pollute.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's hilarious because it's like, hey, okay, we get it, rich white liberals. We get it. You don't want to hurt the earth, but don't worry. Even doing science pollutes the earth. So come on down. Come on down to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville in Antarctica. Have yourself a ice cold margarita. Margarita-sicle. So there you go. Go do it, folks. I did not know that there were so many opportunities to go down there. I'm sorry. The last section is called Antarctic Tourism Isn't Going Away, so we have to plan for the future, which is what this whole thing has been about since the beginning. And they do kind of take a stab at the very idea of tourism, of like going to a place where you're not from as like a sort of evil, they talk about like, oh, these vacationers, they just want to see exotic performances and make indigenous people dance for them and all this kind of stuff, which is a little tough to make that argument about Antarctica. But you get the point. They're walking a very fine line.
Yeah. And even the question of sustainable, is it sustainable? This is a giveaway as to who is actually behind this, because it's no surprise it's the conversation. If you recall, Basil, back in 2017, we were looking at this type of stuff back then too, not specific to Antarctica, but the United Nations declared 2017 as International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development.
Yes.
And they were really looking at, okay, how do we, by 2030, but with the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 agenda, how do we make tourism inclusive? And, you know, that was the big word, inclusive.
Yeah, how do you turn it into a positive thing?
Economic growth for the location, social inclusiveness, employment and poverty reduction, resource efficiency, cultural values, diversity, heritage, blah, blah, blah. The whole stuff, the globalism, which, you know, in hindsight, again, so convenient to highlight tourism a couple years before the lockdown, where those people, all those UN sheep, I guess, people that were really into the year of sustainable tourism, well, all of a sudden, tourism stops. The entire industry comes to a halt, and you can reflect, you know, on what impact it would make culturally, economically, environmentally, all the above. So it just seems like even asking the question in the conversation is just a dead giveaway as to what who are actually behind this whole propaganda piece to get everybody over to the white desert.
And they mention it in the article too. You know, it's called the ambassador effect. It says here, famed travel writer Pico Iyer recently wrote of his experience in the deep south of the world. The visit, he said, quote, so this is a travel writer. So this is we got a blogger here, went down to Antarctica, which they call the deep south of the world, which is kind of a weird thing to call it.
That's weird because we've seen it be mentioned as the white desert.
Yes.
So the white desert, but also the deep south of the world.
Yeah, right.
So weird.
Yeah, I know. Hey, this is your classic
super racist
travel blogger says this. The visit, he said, quote, awakens you to the environmental concerns of the world. You go home with important questions for your conscience, as well as radiant memories.
Whoa.
Iyer isn't alone. This response is widespread, known in the industry as, so it's an industry term. It's known as Antarctic ambassadorship. As you'd expect, this is strongly promoted by tourism operators as a positive. So, you know, it's kind of part of it. If you're on one of these expeditions, and they're usually on small expedition, you know, vehicles, boats, they're spending the whole week being like, yes, you're on this trip so you can become an Antarctic warrior, an Antarctic ambassador. We must preserve the legacy of the great white desert, which is kind of troubling because it's, you know, great white supremacy. You know, you need to keep it pristine. So you got some like racial purity culture language going on with Antarctica, which is hilarious.
So weird.
It's basically a brainwashing vacation. You know, you go there so you can be trained as a sort of you know, climate warrior.
Do you know where the Antarctic ambassador idea comes from?
Well, I was going to say, well, I don't know.
It's linked there to Cambridge University, which is no surprise there. Very, you know.
What do you mean? They invented the term or something?
Well, they have the link in the article takes you to Cambridge University Press to an article, What and Who is an Antarctic Ambassador? And then it goes into...
Yes, I see this now.
And then the other part of it, the IAATO, I believe it's the International Antarctic Ambassadors Tourism Office or something. I actually don't know what the T and the O is for. But if you go there, Basil, on the homepage, they have patches.
Oh.
They have little penguins on them.
An official patch to be an Antarctic ambassador. Do you get paid in rare earth minerals or meteor fragments?
I don't know, but they have an acronym.
Hold Ernest Shackleton's Evercube?
I don't know, but the Antarctic ambassador is someone who, acronym LEAP, L, which is for loves and respects the region, E for educates other by sharing their Antarctic experiences, A, advocates for Antarctica when opportunities arise. They're cheating so much on this. And P, protects the region by making positive changes at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good luck. Because as we've reported on before, China, who is looking to colonize the moon and apparently is very worrying, is doing the same thing with Antarctica. So you got to fight the Chinese to protect Antarctica.
They have a beach cleanup bingo card. My gosh.
What? Beach cleanup bingo card.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
where is this? I want to look at this.
Scroll down on that page there, the iaato.org website. And yeah, they have a beach cleanup bingo card. You know, you can pick up some, if you find a balloon and cross that out.
Yeah. If you're there in Antarctica, is hypodermic needle on
I'm guessing this thing is supposed to be for your local non-Antarctica. Because I don't think Antarctica is littered with, you're going to have a hard time
there's
calling
definitely
bingo
gonna be
on
balloons. There's going to be
balloons,
and
I don't know where the QR
probably
codes.
some other detritus from those pesky scientists,
Sure. Sure. It's just, I don't know. Very interesting and funny that this is, the biosecurity protocols regarding avian influenza.
Yeah, don't bring any seeds. Yeah, so there you go. It is full-blown mainstream. Soon everybody will have gone to Antarctica. It's a part of becoming, a global citizen. You'll join the ranks of Greta by becoming an Antarctic ambassador. It's an honorable position.
Mm-hmm. And you'll look out for those Nephilim penguin.
Yeah, dude, and the spiders.
And the spiders. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Watch out for all of it, and watch out for the Ruskies while you're there. My goodness. All right, everybody. That's it.
Yes.
Good? We actually did pretty good.
We did pretty good,
Right at your heart out today. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you to the producers, those of you who showed up for us today. We appreciate it very much. And we got some people who come in. They help the show out with their time. And I want to thank them now, starting with the Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
That's right. Emsworth, Faye Liverin, thank you so much. They are our Clippies. They clip out the show, make them available. The YouTube channel is still banned, but we are hard at work figuring out the new, fun, and exciting way to get the clips out. But thank you very much. You can still subscribe to the Canary Cry Clips channel. We suggest you do that. It's a great resource. And that would be very difficult if it weren't for the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work.
That's right. Thank you to Jade Bouncerson for doing 576, episode 576. Jade B, been on a roll lately.
Thank you very much.
We need to get Jade B some help here, folks. If you haven't produced the show, if you're looking for ways to help out the show, look, it is it's not a huge commitment. If you're watching the show live, anywho, and I see you, I know who you are, you might as well help the show out. So email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Take a look at Sir Dove's beautiful Help Wanted flyer. This is very, very important that we get some people to help cover this.
I just thought of something too. If anybody wants to pitch in real time as we're doing the show, and if you're one of those folks who really just sits with us from beginning to end, which I know is not everybody. I understand that it's a long show. Especially if you're on YouTube, if you start creating the timestamp in a comment and you publish that comment on the YouTube page, we can just pin it there, and then the timestampers can just grab it from there as well. So just an idea, just throwing out some different options.
Helps. Jade B is kind of the manager of this thing. I'm going to let Jade decide what works for the timestampers, but that sounds like a total possible solution, sort of decentralize the timestamping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Jade B.
Thank you.
Email us. Join the crew. Next up, we got social media.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
social media. Follow us,
James G of the OV in the Deep Rivers, getting the art up on the social media. We appreciate that. Head on over to canarycrimemeetups.com.
Canary Crime Meetups.
It's meetups. It's the new year, folks. It's time to hold a meetup in your area. Go to canarycrimemeetups.com to see if there's any meetups in your area. And if there's not, go ahead and put one on yourself. It's easy. Just pick a time and a place and let us know about it. We will tell the world. And you can meet some friends in your area. I mean, how cool is it when, first of all, I'm convinced that in this day and age, to have someone who listens to the same podcast as you is basically to have a best friend. I mean, as much as we listen to podcasts and as specific as podcasts get now and how sort of indicative it is of worldview and such, if you find somebody who listens to the same podcast, there's a very good chance that you will have a friend in that person. So hold a meetup in your area. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You know, you can meet at a coffee shop or whatever, but let us know about it. There's almost certainly a few Canarians in your area. So go to canarycrimemeetups.com or email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Send us your meetup. Ratings and reviews. It must be done. Okay, let's go see how we're doing. Do you want to? What's the under over, Gons, on any new ratings and reviews this week?
I already know the results, so it's kind of too late.
Oh, he already knows. Yeah. Probably not good. I can tell by that tone in his voice that it's probably not good. All right, folks, time to step up. Apple Podcast listeners, leave us some ratings and reviews. Oh, yeah, that's not good. We have had 0 ratings and reviews since before Christmas. No! Yo, listen up. This is out of control. We cannot have 0 ratings and reviews for 2 weeks now. That is unacceptable.
Are we sure that we've read all the ones? Because I know you missed a bunch of episodes.
I don't know. But today's not the reading time. Okay. Today is the shaming time. Okay. Today is when we shame those listeners who are listening on Apple Podcasts right now and still have not left a rating and a review. This is not only bad for our placement in the ratings and the algorithms, this is like actively fighting against us. So we need to get some ratings and reviews going on Apple Podcasts, folks. Please. I'm talking to you, Daryl, and Deborah. That's right. You too need to go leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. It's super easy. It takes 60 seconds if you're slow. If you're doing text-to-speech or you're on some sort of Stephen Hawking type contraption, it'll take you a minute. But if you got thumbs and you can move those thumbs, it'll take you less than a minute. Just go rate the show and leave a review. Let people know what you like about it. It is the most active and effective way that we can actually use the algorithms to our benefit instead of being victims of them. So please do that. Thank you, Jam, for the links. Thank you, Clinkaniphius, for the personal assistance. And other than that, folks, just share the show. Share it with friends. Share it with your family. Share it with the Antarctic tourists in your life. They are conflicted people. They are people living on two sides of the fence. On one hand, they want to travel. They want to see the world. But at the same time, they are polluting the earth and destroying it from the inside out. And these people are kept in a sort of vortex of cognitive dissonance by the elites that rule the narrative crafting institutions of our world. And think of the freedom that they could find to gallivant around, burning fossil fuels, taking advantage of cheap prices in faraway lands, and posting pictures about it on their Instagram. They can fully enjoy this sort of dark and twisted obsession they have with moving from place to place without having to justify themselves to their fellow human beings in regards to their homicidal nature of their lifestyle to the planet. And that's okay. If you've got an Antarctic traveler in your life, send them Canary Cry News Talk. We do Antarctica updates almost every episode. And what's better than that? Tell them it's a travel blog. Tell them it's a travel podcast, and that they will be learned and sophisticated travelers by listening to this show. You can do it that way. You can do it any way you want. Either way, we call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Just ask Noah. All right, Gonz, any last words?
No. We'll see you Friday, folks. Thank you.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Armageddon's on the way. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
We're all gonna die.
It will kill. Give me a break.
I love the Great Reset.
Vaccinations. It's called the Omicron. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world. This is the United States of America, for God's sake. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people too.
I love the Great Reset.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
And a resounding baka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
It's like I got a Neuralink upgrade or something, right?
Sure, yeah. Sounds, I feel like a SoundCloud rapper now. Changing the intro music has historically been the most traumatizing possible thing we can do to people.
Yeah. People get really upset. People get really upset. People get really upset.
I mean, I'm not going to make a big long thing about it, but getting like traumatizing specifically, you know, kind of other ways to produce trauma.
Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
I'm an adult in a spaceship.
Supersonic space lane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward. On board, the passengers experienced a 3 G's of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes,
cool.
Blowing stuff up,
cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
Previous anchor.
We have Bezos. He's a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything. Wives in space, children in the cosmos. With your best friend brother. Wives in the cosmos, children in the space plane.
We are headed to space.
You better wrap it up. Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support